Hey guys, Mana here, bringing you the first episode of More Dots, the show where you ask me Warlock-related questions and I answer them. So before I actually get started, I gotta say, if I butcher your name, I'm really sorry. Um, if you feel like you got a hard name to pronounce, feel free to leave me a private message, just basically telling me how to pronounce it. The first one is from Girani. I was wondering whether you could make a rotation video with your average DPS, maybe on a boss fight, but even a target dummy would do good. I've been following your DPS guide. For whatever reason, I've been doing low DPS as Affliction in comparison to Destruction. Not by a bit, which is normal, as Destro is better at the moment, but I have like 3k DPS less as Affliction. Might solve a problem or two with the full-out video with rotation and damage meter to check where your damage grows and stabilizes, as with me it never really is stable. So basically it just seems like you want me to show the rotation in practice rather than an explanation of the rotation so that you can see where my damage grows and where it stabilizes and such. Um, I can't really see this happening on a target dummy because Affliction is a bit of a ramp up spec and the real serious damage doesn't kick in until about the 25% mark for various reasons. You can't really do that on a target dummy. As for bosses, I wouldn't do a video guide showing my damage on a boss just because I can't guarantee a perfect performance. And not that I'm embarrassed of showing myself doing mistakes, it's just that when I'm doing a guide, I want to explain it, perfectly. And if I'm showing you a video of myself playing anything less than that, it's just misinformation. And some people might copy my mistakes, and I just don't want that to happen. But in the future, if more people really want to see me doing a rotation video on a target dummy, or if more people want to see me fighting a boss, then I'll be sure to make a video of that. Just depends on whether or not people actually want to see that. Alright, next question from Krevoxen. Question on AoE and destruction spec, specifically on a fight like Cho'gall. With Shadow Fury so valuable in the Cho'gall fight, I need to stay as Destro for this fight, and I'm having a hard time doing any reasonable AoE on the slimes. What should I be using? I've just been using Shadow Fury to stun them and Rain of Fire, but end the fight way behind on damage done compared to the rest of the ranged DPS, and I'm really used to being top 2. Okay, so basically Cho'gall isn't really the best fight for destruction. If I had to choose a Warlock spec for that fight, Destruction would still probably be the best one so far, or right now anyway. Um, I can see how you might fall behind on the damage meters on this fight when AoEing non-stationary targets. Uh, One thing you can do to increase your damage, you can use Bane of Havoc on Cho'gall when he summons his adherents, and then AoEing down the slimes with Rain of Fire. Just try to predict where the slimes will go with Rain of Fire, because since when you cast Rain of Fire, if they move out of that, you're kind of screwed. Whereas with Seed of Corruption or with Hellfire, you can kind of move around as you're AoEing. If they're too spread out, if the slimes are too spread out, you can try tap targeting them when they're smaller in number and just casting Immolate. It's also important to note that even if you are limited by your class abilities and you can't do as well as your fellow DPSers can on the slimes or on the boss, or really on any boss in general, that's okay. As long as you're doing your best and you're using your utility to the fullest potential to help your raid, and the boss is actually dying, then all is well. I mean, sometimes we get a little bit too caught up with the damage meters and we forget that actually killing the boss is actually the most important thing. Alright, next question from AlexR1915 regarding patch 4.1. What nerf buffs do you think we will be seeing in the upcoming patch? And your comment on nothing, but I have a hug for you on the patch notes. Also, any ideas on helping our AoE as Destro? Demons fix Felguard for Demonology again? Fel Hunter back to Affliction and Succubus back to PvP? And your thoughts on Affliction and where it stands for single target DPS? Thanks, looking forward to more dots. Please keep making more videos. Alright, so first of all about the hug thing. As far as I know, that's not from Blizzard. When you see posts in that format on MMO Champion, it's actually just data mining. So the person who made the post was just offering us a hug for the lack of changes at the moment when it was posted. It seems like with the currently announced 4.1 changes, that Blizzard does have plans to make each spec use their intended pet. I at least don't have solid information if the current changes are enough, but Blizzard is definitely taking a step in the right direction to make sure that Demonology should always be using the Felguard and that Affliction should always be using the Fel Hunter. As for Affliction, I feel like it's fine in terms of DPS. Like, I think Affliction is in a very good place right now. Um, I mean, it could use a small boost in DPS, I guess. I don't really think it needs it, but I mean, Blizzard seems to think it does. So that's what's going to be happening in 4.1. Apparently, there's a couple buffs for Affliction so far. There might be more. There may not be. I don't really know, to be honest. Um, like I said, I don't really think it's necessary. I would rather just see a couple smaller changes made instead. For instance, not to go on a long rant here, but I'd like Bane of Agony to be completely superior to Bane of Doom for Affliction. At the moment, we're kind of switching around between using one or the other, depending on the encounter, and I just don't think that's what Blizzard really intended. The only other thing that I'd like that comes to mind is for the proper demons to be used for each spec, but that's already been announced, so it's not really something that I can really talk any further about. As for Destro's AoE, I mean, I think it's fine. Clearly, it's more limited when you compare it to Seed of Corruption or Hellfire, uh, which they're a lot better with targets that are moving around. Destro really needs their targets to stay in one spot for Rain of Fire to be really effective and efficient. But it's almost like Destro's AoE needs to be that way. Like, if you made it so that it could also be good against moving targets, Destro would almost be too good. I don't really think Destro needs any buffs right now. I mean, Destro's in a very, very good place. It's currently the best Warlock spec. Yeah, I can't see Blizzard buffing Destro anymore. It would really surprise me to see a Destro buff in this patch. Okay, so final question from Tommy Tat. What Warlock spec do you think is the best currently, or what spec is your favorite? So I'll answer both of these. Right now, the best spec is Destruction by a couple hundred in simulations, but in practice, you can tell that the best Warlocks in the world that are using Destruction tend to be several steps above the ones that are using Affliction, and even more so than the ones that are using Demonology. Well, in most encounters anyway. So if you're looking to min-max your damage, you're going to want to be using Destruction, for now at least. In terms of what spec is my favorite, it's definitely Affliction. It is and always will be my main spec, I think. The only time I probably would stop using it is if it would sim just way several thousands of DPS below Destruction. It just suits my playstyle, and I enjoy using Affliction the most. So that does it for my first episode of More Dots. If you guys have a Warlock related question, feel free to leave a comment or give me a private message, and I'll see if I can use that for my next episode of More Dots next week. If you have a suggestion for the show, also feel free to leave a comment or send me a private message. I'd like to hear your feedback on it, see what I can improve. And I'm trying to remember if that's it. It probably is. I hate it when I can't remember something. I think that's it. Anyway, I don't think I'll remember. If you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe, guys. Later.